Hello, and welcome to the Steps to Happiness show on Soul Liberty TV. I'm your host, Teresa Greco, happiness coach, author, editor, writer, educator, and Reiki master. Are you ready to follow your joy and tap into your inner happiness? Then the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, my guests and I explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices that can help lead you back to the happiness within you. The happiness principle for today's show is being happy in your own skin. How many of you can look at yourself in the mirror, straight in the eyes, and say, I love you. I love everything about you. These were words I couldn't say to myself when I first started my happiness journey. This is a technique called mirror work, coined by Louise Hay, and it was something that was so hard for me to do at first. I didn't love everything about myself. The truth was, every time I looked into the mirror, all I saw were my flaws, and I said terrible things to myself. I was never skinny enough, pretty enough, muscular enough, athletic enough. I wasn't enough of a lot of things. They were words I would never say to someone else, yet I played the part of my worst enemy instead of my greatest cheerleader. They were other people's words I had adopted as my own over the living of my life, and they plagued me until the day I decided to change it. I made the decision that I was going to start loving myself the way my spirit loves me and the way my creator loves me. To them, I am always perfect, whole, and complete. By connecting with my spiritual self, I was able to discover a love inside of me that I had been disconnected from my entire life. I had been searching outside myself for love from my parents, siblings, family, and friends, and at the same time, feeling unlovable. This stemmed from the lack of love for myself. Once I began connecting with the love within me that was always there at my core, my life changed. I began practicing self-love for myself, which came in the form of making time for self-care, mirror work, meditation, EFT, or better known as tapping, and positive affirmations, to name but a few. I needed to rewrite the stories in my head by creating new neural pathways in my mind with the new words I needed to hear over and over and over again. I needed to stop the record player that had been playing the same brutally negative and unloving song on repeat for most of my life. It was time I began to honor, respect, and love myself first. If I wanted the world around me to do the same, it was time I began to honor, respect, and love myself first. If I wanted the world around me to do the same, it all needed to start with me. Committed to my daily practices, I slowly began to love myself, and my personal and work relationships improved. I was able to forgive myself and others for times I didn't show myself the love I deserved. I stopped trying to be everything to everyone else and started to be more true to myself. Self love meant accepting and loving myself completely and unconditionally as I am in this very moment. I believe self love is the most important condition for living a happy life. When you love yourself, it begins to overflow into all aspects of your life because love is who you really are. It's your essential nature. Self love is also sharing love and happiness with the people around you because there is love and happiness in abundance. And that leads to a life filled with a whole lot of love. With that being said, I'd like to introduce my first guest to the show. She's an award winning motivational speaker, a 7-time best selling author and author strategist. Kelly Ballardo, hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, Teresa. It's so great to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Kelly, if we could start off by you telling us a little bit about what you do and the awards you've earned.
Oh my God, the awards have just been crazy. Um, so, I being a burn survivor and getting burnt as a 2-year-old, I never thought I'd have a great life. I just didn't. And it wasn't till about 11 years ago when I met one of my mentors, Charmaine Hammond. And Charmaine said to me, Kel, you need to sell that business you're in and be a speaker. And I said, why? I'm just a burn survivor. So what? And she said, no, people will be so inspired by your story. And I didn't see it because at that point in my life, I was in a dead end job. I also had a business that was just a big money pit that was bankrupting me and my former husband. I was in a toxic marriage. I hated being married. It was not at all what I wanted to be. And I wasn't in love with the man that I was with. And so I didn't see myself as being inspirational. So when she said people will be inspired by your story, all I thought was doom and gloom. I didn't see anything good about me. And so it was really hard for me to accept that people would be inspired by my story. And so I just didn't get it. So she found a way to get her and I on a stage to speak together, and we did an Ellen show. So she was Ellen and I was the guest, and what was happening is she would ask me questions and I would see people laughing. And I was looking around the stage and I'm like, what's going on? Like, is someone like walking around with a clown nose or something? And I heard that little voice say to me, no, they're laughing at your story. It's funny. And then I told another story and I saw all these people crying. And again, I'm looking around the stage and I'm like, what's going on? Like, did someone fall behind me or something? Like, why is everybody crying? And then I heard that little voice say to me again, they're crying at your story. And so I had no idea that my story could have that kind of impact. But that was my start. That was when I said, oh my God, I love this. And I went home that night and I said to my husband, I said, I'm going to be a speaker. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? And who's going to listen to you? Because all he saw was all the doom and gloom and everything that was happening in our lives that was not inspirational at all. And I basically just said to him, I don't know, but it's going to happen. And sure enough, that was the start of my journey of becoming a professional speaker.
And tell us about some of the awards you've won.
Oh my God, the awards. Oh, this is just incredible. So, um, I, j- I took a speaking course and I learned how to be a speaker. And then I became a best-selling author. I got the Woman of Distinction Award. I got the Fierce Woman of the Year Award. I got the YWCA Woman of Distinction Award. More recently, Global Television named me as one of the most inspirational people of 2020. Plus, I'm up for an award right now. I've been nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year Award. So I'll know next week if I win in that one. um, but yeah, it just it's been incredible. I've been winning all these awards. And it's interesting because I look at the awards and a lot of them, I'm not even there to accept them. And my daughter or my mom's had to accept them because I've been out speaking. And so
Mhm.
even when I got the Woman of Distinction Award, I couldn't be there because I was in Toronto speaking to 100 abused women. And that was more important to me than me getting an award for myself. So it's
Mhm.
been fascinating winning them because, as you know, as an entrepreneur, you don't always get that validation that you're doing a good
Mhm.
job, right? So it's
Mhm.
great to win the awards, but to me, it's also more important is who am I helping? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, congratulations on all of that. So, if you could take us back to when your journey began, please.
Oh, where my dream began?
When your journey began.
Where my journey began. Okay. So, what would you like to know about that?
So basically the how it all started for you, like back to like when you were 2 and the life that you led up to, like, and you shared now what you've been doing as of late, but some of the struggles you had around because of what happened when you were 2.
Right. Okay. So, that's right. When I was 2, we lived on a farm, and my cousins were 9 and 11, and they were throwing shingles in the fire. And a spark came out and landed on my dress, and I exploded. And I had to spend 4 months in the hospital. Every 2 days, I'd be in the operating room. And then every 2 years until I was 20, I'd have to go back to the hospital for more surgery. And what they needed me to grow so that I would have more skin to work with.
Mhm.
So, I remember being in grade 5 and I walked past my teacher's desk and I saw a picture that someone had drawn of me, and it was a circle with scribbles all over it and it said Scarface. And that was when I knew that the kids were calling me the Scarface girl. And what I was really upset about was that I used to believe, like, if you have glasses and the kids are calling you Four Eyes, all you need to do is just go get contacts and you're no longer Four Eyes. You lose your title, right? If you're overweight, all you have to do is go on a diet and lose your weight, and then you lose your
Mhm.
title. But because I was going for so many surgeries, and I thought I'm never gonna lose my title, I will always be the Scarface girl because they're not making my scars disappear. And I
Mhm.
remember 15, and I was praying to God, and I said, "Dear God, please don't make me wake up in the morning. But if I have to, can I at least be scarless so I can be pretty like all the other girls? Thank you. Amen." And of course, I woke up in the morning and of course I looked in the mirror and I still saw my ugly scars. And I thought, well, my doctor can't take my scars away. God not taking my scars away. I'm going to be the ugly girl forever. And you know what it's like. I mean, we're taught that in order to be beautiful, we have to be flawless.
Mhm.
And I think that's what the media teaches us, and,
Mhm.
social media too. Like, I really feel for a lot of the girls these days because
Mhm.
social media is bombarding the girls with so many negative messages that we have to be flawless. And,
Mhm.
I don't remember which makeup company it is, but one of the cosmetic companies is doing that all the time. They put "be flawless."
Mhm.
And so what
Mhm.
we're doing is we're setting up our girls and our women to believe that the only way they're beautiful is if they're
Mhm.
flawless. And so I grew up thinking I'll never be beautiful because
Mhm.
I'm not flawless. And every time I would look in the mirror and I would say, "I am beautiful," that little voice in my head would say, "No, you're not. You're covered in scars. Beautiful women don't have scars."
Mhm.
And so it was really challenging for me to grow up and think I am beautiful because how could I be? I wasn't
Mhm.
flawless, right? So that's
Mhm.
what makes it so difficult for us is we think we have to be flawless in order to be beautiful.
Mhm.
Mm.
And so, like, how was the treatment of people like towards you growing up? Were people cruel, or were there also some that were sensitive and sympathetic? Maybe not empathetic, but sympathetic.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely there was the kids that teased me and bullied me, and fortunately I'm half deaf, so I didn't hear a lot of it. But I knew that they were teasing me and bullying me, and I was very, very, very shy. Um, so it was hard because that's all I could see was the negative stuff. I didn't see when people were staring at me and they were maybe thinking I was pretty, right?
Mhm,
Um, I'll never forget. I think I was about 19 or 20 years old, and I went to the bar with a group of my friends, and I asked one of the guys, my friend, to walk me back to my car because it was late at night and I didn't want to be alone. So he said, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll walk you." So we're walking me back to my car, and this guy is coming towards us. And I said to Paul, I said, "Oh my God, I'm so tired of people staring at me." And he says, "Kel, you're staring at you because you're so darn cute." And I thought, "No, Paul, you're just making stuff up, right? Like I'm not cute, you know?" Because I was so stuck thinking that
mhm,
I was ugly. And so then I got thinking, and I was thinking about, sometimes when you see someone who's overweight, and I was thinking, you know what? When I see someone that's overweight, I don't just say, "Oh my God, they're so ugly. Look how fat they are." I think, "Oh my God, they've got this beautiful smile and this beautiful face, and their energy just flows." And I think, why am I always assuming that every time somebody looks at me,
mhm,
I'm assuming that they think I'm ugly, right? And we have to stop worrying about what everybody thinks of us.
mhm,
And I think that was one of my turning points is when I realized that I can't be responsible for what everybody thinks of me.
mhm,
Right? We went to a garage sale, me and my former husband, and this lady took one look at me and she says to me, "They couldn't do better than that." And what she meant was, how come they couldn't do some surgery on you and take your scars away and make you beautiful? And I was hurt. I was so upset. Like I was in my 40s when this happened.
mhm,
I was so upset and I was like, "Oh, like she had no clue what I've been through." Like she had
mhm,
no clue that I got burnt as a 2-year-old of most of my body. She had no clue about all the surgeries I've had. I think I've had about 40 surgeries. She has no idea what I've gone through. And yet she's telling me I'm ugly. And so I looked at her and I said, "I happen to think I look pretty damn good." And I turned around and I walked away. And my husband says to me, "Cal," he says, "she didn't mean it that way." And I said, "Well, she meant it how she said it." And I was so hurt. And I just thought, okay, why am I letting a complete stranger take my power away? I'm never going to
mhm,
see her again. Not once have my kids or my friends or family ever said to me, "Mom or Cal, I would love you more if you were scarlet."
mhm,
And here I am letting a complete stranger take my power away. And
mhm,
that was another one of my turning points where I thought, that's it. I'm not going to let a stranger take my power away and make me feel ugly anymore.
mhm,
Right?
mhm,
We don't need to be so worried about what other people are thinking about us. Who cares?
mhm, mhm,
Right? Like the people who count the most in our life, they love us.
mhm,
They don't see our imperfections. They don't see it at
mhm,
all. How perfect we are. They see our energy, they see our smile, they see our spirit, our laugh. They see all these incredible things about us. And so we need to let go of all the crap that we
mhm,
feel about ourselves and realize that people love us just the way we are.
mhm,
Right? They don't see our imperfections. They see how
mhm.
beautiful we are, right?
It's so
So
true. It's beautiful, Kelly. You're right. You're right. And it's really, if anyone's opinion matters, it's theirs. It's not the opinion of random strangers. I mean, she shouldn't have said those words at all. If she had any I mean, she's really ignorant to have said something like that. She could have kept her comments to herself. She didn't need to say that comment aloud anyways. But many people are like that. They just feel entitled to go and and spew negativity out to people, which really is always a reflection of them. It has nothing to do with us. It's really a reflection of who they are, how they see themselves. And then they just go ahead and say those things outwardly, which they should be keeping to themselves. And so now, when I encounter people that say negative things, I'm like, this has everything to do with you and nothing to do with me. And I'm not taking this on because I'm not going to allow you to ruin my day because I know this is your problem.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of baggage or problems you're facing, but you are trying to spew that outward and I'm not accepting it. So, but it's like this learning process and growth that we have over the of our course of our lives, which as we slowly feel more empowered and more confident in ourselves and in our own skin, that then we care less about the external and the external opinions. And I love what you said about, how people, we're always trying to think about how other people perceive us. And the uh, that idea is so dumb, and I'll tell you why. Because all of us see the world through our own personal lens. We are constantly perceiving the world through our personal one, which is based on our past experience, our baggage, everything that's happened to us, everything that we know based on in our own little reality bubble. This is how I see the world, and everyone is seeing the world through their own personal lens. How am I supposed to know how someone else is seeing it? Like I can't know what their lens is about and how they view something. The other thing that I've heard is that basically we see the world 99% through perception, 1% is how it actually is. So if you and I were looking at a tree, each of us looking at that tree through a personal perception that's 99% and 1% as the tree actually is. And that's everything that we look at. And so you could look at that tree and say, oh my God, Teresa, that tree is flourishing. It looks amazing. And I would look at it and say, Kelly, what are you talking about? That tree's dying. Don't you see those leaves that are on the ground? And you're like, no, look
Yeah.
at the buds that are growing on it. That tree's overcoming challenges. And what are you talking about? That tree's almost like dead. Like you're and because we don't actually see it for what it is, we're all seeing it through our own personal lens. So we have to stop trying to perceive ourselves through the lens of others. 100 people are going to look at us 100 different ways. And knowing that has allowed me to let go of of trying to understand how other people are going to see me, whether they share their thoughts with me or not. And when they do share their thoughts, if it's not positive thoughts, because if we were all really embodying the love that we are, the love, peace, and happiness that we are, we would only be speaking love all the time. But we're not embodying the love that we are. So therefore, people don't always share loving thoughts and loving opinions and loving statements if they really were in touch with who they really are. And so when again, like I said, I encounter people that don't have positive things to say, I know it's because it's not coming from a place of love. Because if it was within themselves, if it was, they would never say what they just happened to say. Or maybe just in that moment, they're out of touch with who they are because they're feeling frustration or angry or upset or whatever it is. But then, later on, they might come to a place of peace and what they're saying might be different. So again, it's never about us, it's always about them. Now, what I would love to do is go into some of the ways that you overcame your challenges. So, over the living of your life, certain it's like those key events, right? We all have those moments in our life that was like, wow, that really hurt. That really stung. When that person said that, it's like we still remember it years later. It's like, that little drawing, like you said, when you walked by and you saw that was one of those moments that's done. Place that thorn inside of you that, there are times that if somebody touches that little thorn, it still hurts, right? So we all know what those little moments were. And so did you reach a point where so the story that I shared about myself at the beginning of today's show is that I reached a point that I had to choose, that I made a decision that I was going to stop not loving myself the way that I was, that I needed to make a change and start using some of the principles and practices that I'll share on the show, and other ones that I don't know if I'll be able to share all of them over the season of the show, but the ones that really helped me to rewrite the story that I said in my head, that it was that record player. It was you said something to the fact of you just always saying the same things to yourself that you needed to change. Kelly, my last question for today is, what is the gift in your story
The
for
gift
you?
of my story.
Mhm.
Oh my God. So the gift of my story is that I honestly believe that every single one of us has some kind of tragedy. We have something we're going through. And it's up to us to see whether is it a tragedy or is it a gift. Now, me getting burnt and me going through all the tragedies and everything that I've had to go through, I see that as a gift because I now know how to teach people how to love themselves and how to love who they are. And I know how to teach people to take your, like my mom would say, take your lemons and make lemonade out of it. And so my final words for you are, dreams are meant to be found, not tucked away in dreamland. If you have a dream, go for it because we all have this incredible energy and power inside of us. And it's up to us to take that and make something out of it. And that's what I'm
Mhm.
so proud of, is that I've taken my story and I've become an international speaker and I did TEDx talks, won all these awards. And so if I can do it, so can anybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kelly, thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your journey to self-love and happiness.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me, Teresa.
Stay tuned, as after the break, I'll be speaking with W.T. Hamilton, who'll be sharing the steps we can take to feel more comfortable in our skin.
Solivity Magazine and Beyond Words Publishing want to remind you about the importance of continuing to follow public health guidelines to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Please continue to wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Please visit these sites for further information about how to stay safe from COVID-19 into the new year. Remember, love protects us.
Thank you for tuning in to Beauty and Gratitude with D'Angelo Thompson. That's me. We're going to focus on beauty from the inside out and gratitude being the cornerstone of your life. I will have amazing guests from all walks of life, from wellness experts to beauty, tech, fashion, you name it, they will be here. And we have amazing names coming up in the near future. So tune in every 2 weeks, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Solivity TV or Solivity Magazine. Thank each of you for watching, and focus on life, focus on gratitude. Thank you.
You can find all the Satana products at our Go shop on Solivity at go.solivity.com now. Shop for beauty products, skincare, hair care, it is all there. At the Go shop, Go shop Solivity. We work so hard sometimes. Isn't it time for a break? Take a walk or enjoy nature. Or maybe a leap, or a ride, or even a dip. spending time with a friend, or some time alone. Whatever it is, always spend time growing and learning with a Solivity Weekend. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on Solivity TV.
Welcome back to the Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco. I'm excited to introduce my next guest. He's a speaker, an award-winning author, business consultant, and entrepreneur. W.T. Hamilton, hello, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Teresa, how are you doing today?
Great, thank you. So why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about what you do?
So I got into really helping people take their ideas and turn it into products and services. And a lot of what I do is really helping them to build up confidence and to feel good about themselves and feel good about what they're trying to do. Because I find that's a big hurdle that people have, is not really believing in what they can do. They believe in it in saying it, but actually putting the action steps to it is a whole different problem.
Agreed. So the happiness principle for today's show is being happy in your own skin. In order for us to be happy and successful, what does that take?
So it takes you understanding that, external things aren't going to make you happy for long. So I always tell people that it's like a drug, and you get high off of that happiness, and then you got to come back down. And by doing that, you can't sustain it. So to sustain happiness, you have to do it from within, and it has to come from little things that that aren't external. So understanding, when you're having a coffee and you're just relaxing, you should be happy. That's a great moment for you, and so I teach people that, and then really having that confidence to have that mindset for success, where you really decide you're going to do something. You're not going to worry about what other people think, because once you let other people's opinions into it, especially at the beginning, it'll destroy any potential that you have. So you really got to learn how to believe in yourself, even when nobody else believes in you.
And so this success mindset that you're speaking about, what is it not about? So what is the beliefs and thoughts that we have that prevent us from really being who we are and who we were meant to be? What do we tell ourselves instead? In your like expertise and all the clients that you work with, what are we saying to ourselves? Because it's important for us to recognize what the words are, what the phrases are that we say to ourselves on repeat, and we don't even recognize them because they've been a part of us and what we've said to ourselves for our whole life, that until we become consciously aware. And basically, there's a 5% margin that we live 95% of the day in the subconscious mind, which is where all of those beliefs, so that conditioning, those paradigms, those habits, those patterns, they all lay in there. And we live most of the day out of that part of our brain. So that leaves a 5% margin for us to be cognitively aware of what we need to change and what those phrases need to become. So, in your opinion, and the clients that you work with, what is in the 95%? What do we say to ourselves that then maybe people today will listen to those phrases and say, yeah, that's true. I say that to myself. And just to take a moment, step back and evaluate. And for me, it was like turning 40. That was a turning point in my life that it had me step back to reevaluate. So maybe if you could share what some of those beliefs are that common beliefs that people express.
Well, the very first one that everybody says that really holds them back is, oh, that person's lucky. Like, as if luck is the only way for you to be able to succeed or be able to achieve anything that you want to do. A lot of people also say, I can't do that. If they automatically tell themselves they can't do something that they haven't tried, they've already given up on the idea of even being able to possibly have that opportunity to do that. So I talk to people about figuring out what your personal impossibles are, and we start looking at what are the things that you can do to make those personal impossibles possible. One of the things, like what I wanted to do was become a speaker, but I was nervous even speaking in front of a group of people that I knew, like doing a presentation at work or anything like that. So I had to look at, okay, what are the things that I need to do to be able to shed, the unconfidence part of me, and this story that I'm telling myself I'm not good enough to
Mhm.
do it, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not talented enough, and start looking at other people that are doing it. How are they doing it? Because what you start to find is that those other people, they're not spectacular. They're just
Mhm.
regular people, but they decided that they were going to do something, and then they followed through. So what we do is we stack up excuses of why we can't do something instead of stacking up reasons why we can do it. So I teach people how to stack up the reasons why you can do the thing that you want to do.
Mhm. And why do you feel that we have these reasons? Like this is the problem is that we've accumulated these beliefs about ourselves that we believe to be real. So why do we have those? And why do we make it the story that we run our lives by?
Well, part of it is your environment. So you inherit a lot of your beliefs from your environment. You
Mhm.
inherit some of your beliefs from your family, and then you inherit some of your beliefs because they're protecting you from making yourself unsuccessful, or people want to be perfect in everything they do the first time
Mhm.
they do it. So you have these beliefs to protect yourself from the shame of not achieving something, or the shame of not succeeding. But what happens is that as you start to learn more, and I call it divine preparation. So you have like divine timing, which gets you to where you're able to take an opportunity comes to you and you're ready to do it. But the divine preparation, that's the struggle of you learning and finding out what talents and what things you need to know and who you need to meet before you can actually be ready for your divine timing. And a lot of people want to avoid that divine preparation. They want to avoid the learning part. They want to just be really good at something the first time they try it, and it's unrealistic. So we have these beliefs to kind of protect us from taking risk, and kind of protect us from getting our feelings hurt when something doesn't work out.
Mhm. Mhm. It, and it's too bad that we think it's a protection because it's actually holding us back. Not
Yeah.
protecting, it's holding us back from our greatness. That we think
Yeah.
it's keeping us safe from maybe yes, judgment, maybe rejection, maybe people not liking us. But I also made a choice that one day when I'm on my deathbed looking back at my life, I don't want to have regret. I don't want to
Yeah.
be then at this point where I can't do anything about it. I don't want to say I wish I had. I don't want
Hmm.
that. And so now
Yeah.
I'm like, I've made, so many different decisions, but that was one of the decisions that I also made was that I am not going to live my life with regret. That if an
Mhm.
opportunity presents itself, I have to do it for myself. And learning to approach
Yeah.
life authentically is is a day-to-day practice. It's that divine preparation that you spoke about. It's that life is preparing you for when that moment arises, that divine timing moment arises, that you are prepared and you've learned all the different things that you need to along the way so that when that happens, you're going to be successful with it. You're going to be able to bring all of who you are, everything that you know to that moment, and for it to be whatever it's supposed to be. Even that, right? It's like letting go of expectation, even what that moment is gonna look like. So
Yeah.
let's go into some of the strategies then that you use with your clients to help them to overcome these these limitations, the self-sabotaging that we do as well that we think we're preventing ourselves from, trying to keep us safe, but it's really preventing us from stepping
Mhm.
into our greatness. So let's go ahead and talk about what some of those strategies are.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really stress to people is really letting go of of, like you said, of expectations, letting go of the outcome. So when you're doing something, just try it, and don't worry about if it works out or it doesn't work out. Try it and see what happens, because if it works out, that's great, but you didn't really learn anything. So most times it doesn't work out exactly the way you want it to, and there's things that you can improve on, and those are your building blocks to your success. But I always tell people too, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And once you can be comfortable being uncomfortable, it opens up so many more options for you, because now you're not worried about if it doesn't go right. Like when a kid is learning to walk, and he sees everybody else is walking, and he can see everything that they're doing. You know, you put one step forward and then the next step forward. You can know everything what you're supposed to do, but when you have to actually do it yourself, you got to learn to balance your body weight, and you fall back and you land on your butt, and you're happy that you have a diaper on so your butt doesn't hurt. But you get up and you try walking again because you know everybody else can do it. But when we try to do something that we've never done before ourselves, and we see other people are doing it and it looks like they're successful instantly, we try it and we struggle. All of a sudden we say, "Oh, that's not for me. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough talent to do that." When it's not true. The truth is, you have to work at it. You got to practice it. You got to develop your skills to get better at it. And when you allow yourself to do that by letting go of the expectations that I have to be perfect the very first time I try it, you can let go of that. Now you can start to build your talents. So that's one of the big things, and that's how you start to build confidence, is by doing little things in that area, struggling with it a little bit, but learning how to get better at it.
Is there anything else that we need to overcome? Something else that
Oh,
poses a challenge?
yeah, there's a lot of things that you need to overcome, and one of them is really you know how we approach things. Like if you approach things with the sense that you're going to have fun doing it, and you're going to be happy doing it from internal sense, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. Than the only way you're going to be happy is if you succeed. If somebody says to you, "Oh, you did a great job," or somebody says to you, "Hey, come and try this because I see you got a lot of talents in this area." But if you have that belief in yourself, and part of it is being your authentic self. Like when I show up with my suit jacket, usually my t-shirt and my hat. Some people say, "Oh, I'd love to be able to do that, but I can't do that where when the business that I'm in." And I always say, why not? If that's how you're comfortable, you're going to come off as being more of an authentic and true person, because you're going to be able to be that person on camera and off camera. But if you have to play a role in your business and then you're something totally different outside of your business, you're not really going to be authentic in any area of your life, because you're always going to be flipping back and forth.
Yes, I can appreciate that because I felt that I was a different Teresa in a lot of different spaces. So it was always, who do I need to be here? So in me trying to be the perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect daughter-in-law, perfect employee, perfect friend, perfect teacher, perfect, perfect in a lot of situations, like, okay, now I need to, wear this hat, or now I need to put on this mask, or now I need to, without knowing who that authentic Teresa was. So that's like, that was me approaching 40, that the realization was I had lost myself in the living of my life in trying to adopt and live up to all of the external expectations of who I needed to be. I didn't even know who that authentic was, that authentic Teresa was, because I had put on all of these masks in all these different situations and spaces. And so it's true that how can we need to be able to be in any situation and be authentically us. But in order
Yeah.
for me to do that, I know that I needed to remove a lot of, I call them cloaks, a lot of cloaks that were placed over me that covered my eyes from seeing who I really was. And I needed to remove those cloaks. And this is the process now that I believe part of our purpose is uncovering who we really are, that we don't know who we are, because all of the conditioning and the paradigms and the habits and the patterns and all those things that we live by unconsciously, that then do we even know who is that authentic self to come into every situation being that person? So that's I think that's part of the work. That's part of the challenge.
Yeah. And then you have to be comfortable with what you discover, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be able to show up, and whatever flaws you have, they're your flaws. Just as you're
Mhm.
proud of your talents, you got to be proud of your flaws, because it makes you
Mhm.
unique. It makes you who you are. But also, then you don't have to make up excuses for them if you just own them. And that's hard. Like, it's not something that you can just say and read a book or take a little course. All of a sudden, you got it. Like, it's something you got to work at and learn how to be comfortable. That's why I tell people, and it's something that I learned from my mentor, was, be comfortable being uncomfortable, because once you can start comfortable being uncomfortable,
Mhm.
you you open up to so many more opportunities, because now you're not scared to do things. Because
Mhm.
it's not a requirement that you have to be comfortable and be perfect. You can fumble your words. You can, make, fall over, do whatever, because people aren't going to remember you usually, right? If the first time they ever see you, whatever you do, they're not going to. They have their own lives, right? They're into their own things.
Mhm.
They're not going to remember. Oh, I seen Teresa back in 2007, and she was doing this. It just doesn't happen.
It's true. It's true. It's true. We're so focused on our own lives and what's happening in our own reality bubble that really, like you said, somebody might see you, but they're not thinking about you 5 minutes later. So I know we
Yeah,
think this is what we do. We create these stories, these scenarios, these narratives that we think is true and is the reality, but it's actually not. So, working with a coach can try to burst some of those bubbles to say, well, you're not really the center of everyone's universe.
yeah, exactly.
You're just the center of your own. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. So just focus on being there.
yeah,
Okay, so I really want to, because the show is called The Step to Happiness, I really want to get
yeah,
to the strategies together with you. So tell me
yeah.
about some of the tools that you use to get your clients to step into who they really are.
So the first thing I do is I ask them, what is their personal impossible, and whatever that personal impossible is, I ask them to write it down. So I use journals. I get them to start a journal, and people can do this right now. And you will write down what your personal impossible is. So say it's speaking, you want to become a speaker, you write that down, and then I ask them next to write down what it's going to feel like to accomplish that, and who are you going to tell, and what are the feedback that you're going to get from the people. Write that down. And then the third thing I ask them to do is, now I want you to write it down as a memory, something that's already happened to you. So put as much detail as you can into it, of how it felt to be on stage, how it felt to guide the crowd, to bring them through the ups and downs of your speech, and all the things that you wanted to do, and what it felt like after. Write all that down and read it over, and really let it sink into your subconscious of something that you've already done. And then we start to work on the baby steps to get you to be able to create that. So we don't jump into the fourth and fifth thing that you're supposed to do first, which a lot of people do, and they skip the first few steps, and then they're lost and they don't know what to do. So we start right from the beginning. It could be, just writing a speech, or it could be joining a Toastmasters, or doing something where you can practice making a video and practicing your speech, those type of things. But little things first, like baby steps, just like you would do for learning how to walk. You can wobble, you can fumble, you can fall down. It's okay. And we grow into it to the point where you're able to actually accomplish that personal impossible. And one of the things that I teach them is really starting to listen to your intuition, listen to the way you feel, marry your ideas with your thoughts, and really make that an internal process. Because there's a lot of guides that come to you through intuition, that if you're not aware of it, you're going to miss out on all kinds of opportunities, just because you weren't listening to the rhythm of the
Mhm.
world, the universe, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
It's very important.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes. Anything else?
That's where I start people with, and then get them to start practicing their confidence. We have like a whole video program of steps of building up your confidence, because confidence is, I think, like you really have to believe in yourself before anyone else believes in you, and that's something that's hard to do, but that's one of the key things that we work on through doing the journaling and through doing the different mindset um, ways of looking at things, is of changing your perspective and your beliefs on reality, and stop worrying about other people's opinion. Don't make their opinion more important than your own opinion of yourself.
And so to ultimately feel comfortable in your own skin, what do you think that involves? For me, it's self-love. That I realized that because I wasn't loving myself, there was a whole bunch of ways that in the world I was mistreating myself and I wasn't honoring, respecting, and loving myself the way that I needed to. And my external environment was just mirroring that. So there were a whole bunch of things in the external that corrected themselves as soon as I started to work on me. And so I feel like at the base of it all, the base of our happiness it all stems from self-love. How we connect with our essential nature, how we connect with the love, peace, and happiness that is there at our core. And until we connect with that, then we're able to show up in the world as our true, authentic self. Then we're able to step into those shoes of greatness. Then we're able to become the people that we really wanted to be in this lifetime. We're able to return back to that little child inside of us that before the age of 5 thought that everything was possible, that they could do anything that they wanted, and that they took, a spoon, a Tupperware container, a pot, and made it into whatever they wanted it to be. That in everything, there was limitless possibility in everything that they touched and everything that they saw. It's like we need to return to that belief about ourselves. And so
Mhm.
what would you say to that?
So I think a lot of it is getting yourself out of those negative environments. Um, until you're really confident with yourself. Once you're really confident, you can be around all kinds of different environments. But when you really want to get in touch with yourself and start self love, you have to push away any negative environments, negative music, negative entertainment, all of that stuff, and really start focusing on what it is that you want, what's important to you, and figure out what is your must haves. What are the must haves that you expect in your life and that are not non negotiable? So these are the must have. These are the standards that I want to experience, and really start being in touch with who you really are in your heart. So not your external. It doesn't matter how you look externally, but in your heart, how do you feel? And and then the intuition is really going to help you, because once you start to face some of the devils in your past, the devils in your life, your intuition will really help you get through that, and it will guide you to like-minded people. It will guide you to the things that you need to be able to make you feel better and to make you start loving yourself. But you have to be open to it. You have to be open to receiving the guidance, and then following through on it, not stalling, not saying, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it when after I've done accomplished this thing, or after I finish that thing. No, you have to, once you have that intuition, you got to follow it right away.
Massive action. We had
Yeah.
a guest on one of my past shows, and the third step, he had like 3 pillars that he lives by. The third one was massive action, like not just a little action, massive action. And so, yes, that's what you need. That's what it takes. That a massive, not a little bit of action where you do it
Yeah.
today and not tomorrow, or you only do it 50%. It's that
Mhm.
massive action. So I have one final question for you. What does it mean to live your happiest life?
So my happiest life is the little moments in between the big moments. So
Mm,
if I'm sitting and having a coffee and I can just think for a minute, I'm happy. I'm enjoying myself. If I'm in between doing tasks and I'm just relaxing for a minute, I'm so happy. I'm enjoying myself, and and it's that kind of happiness where I don't need other people to make it a happy moment. I don't need other
Mhm.
things. I can just be happy in the moment. I can sit in my backyard at the sky, feel good, and just have gratitude. A lot of it is having gratitude for the littlest things, or even the things I don't have to do anything about. I can just go on my phone whenever I want. I have access to entertainment. I have access to information. I don't actually have to do anything to make the internet work, but I have access to it anytime I want. And I feel gratitude for that because it's a powerful thing for what I do.
Mhm.
So any of those little things that I really don't have to put a lot of effort into, like being able to think, like, part of massive action for me is thinking and visualizing and planning. And if I can do that on a daily basis, I'm living a great life. If
Yes.
if I can reach in my pocket and buy something, I don't have to really stress about it. I'm living a great life. If I can read a book whenever I feel like it, I'm living a great life. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be big things. I don't have to have a big house, fancy cars. Those things are nice. I'm not going to say no to them, but they don't actually make me happy. They just
Mhm.
make my life easier. But happiness
Yes.
comes really from just the little things.
Yes. Yes. Love that. WT, how can people connect with you after the show?
So you can reach me on my website. It's mindsetforsuccesstraining.com. Or you can connect with me on Instagram. It's just w.d.hamilton on Instagram. So those two places I'm very active in, and then you can reach out and connect, and we can have a chat.
Awesome. Thank you again for being on the show today and sharing the ways we can overcome our challenges to live happier lives.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it a lot too, Teresa.
I'm going to leave you with the thought for the day. Today's show was about self love and what that really means. Although what self love means for each of us is different, it does mean that you have high regard for your own well being and happiness. For many people, self love is just another way to say self care, where we listen to our bodies. We take breaks from work, we move and stretch, we put down the phone and connect to ourselves and others. Or maybe it's doing something creative or getting out into nature. Self love means loving yourself just as you are and putting your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well being first so that we can be more for ourselves and for others. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to being with you next week.
To connect with Teresa Greco after the show for coaching, workshops, and speaking engagements, you can visit her website at teresagreco.ca or by email at stepstotruehappiness@gmail.com or follow her on Instagram at Teresa Greco _steps to happiness or on Facebook at Steps to True Happiness with Teresa Greco.